Okay, guys. Good to see everybody again here in the Notre Dame football offensive Google Classroom. And in today's lesson video tutorial, we're going to be discussing our base formations so that we can get everybody on the same page and that our alignment when the formation is called becomes like tying our shoe. It's like second nature. It's something that we can do pretty much with our eyes closed. And so that's the idea behind this particular video tutorial. So we're going to dive right in. This time, instead of using the whiteboard and drawing on it, I'm going to go into my JUSTPLAY software and I'm going to use that. I think it might be a little bit easier to manipulate the pieces to the puzzle in that regard. So let's go into sharing the screen. And I want to share, before I do that, I probably should go into, yeah, there we go. And then go to share so that I can share this desktop that's got the JUSTPLAY software. Okay, so now there I am in this. And let me just move that down out of the way. All right, here's my JUSTPLAY software. Okay, I got a lot of stuff here. So what I want to do is, let's see, grab like a base one that I might be able to manipulate. So, all right, let's edit or copy this one. Okay, usually at the bottom, here it is. So we'll edit this one. All right. Let me get rid of this real quick here. All right. All right. So I got to manipulate a couple things because, I'm used to different letters being a part of a different offensive system, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody by any means. The idea behind this isn't for that. It's to actually help guys understand. Okay. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through some of our base formations. Okay. So I can just type it in. It's not a big deal. But let me grab a text shape so I can put the formation, the name of the formation in it. And then you guys won't get confused and you can go back for future reference. Okay, this one we're going to start out with purple right. All right, beautiful. All right, so purple right. Here's what we got, guys. It's pretty much the way that you see it there. Okay. So again, the ball normally isn't in the middle of the field, but we would, if it was, all right, purple right puts the tight end to the right. Again, tight end to the direction, F to the direction because they're tethered together. Okay. And then the X and the Z would be opposite of the direction. So which puts them on the left. Okay. And if the ball's in the middle of the field, we would probably put you in the numbers. And again, the Z would split the difference between the end man in the line of scrimmage and the left tackle. So here it would probably be a +2. +2 would be 2 yards outside the hash away from the tackle. So that's purple right, guys. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Should be able to move the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. So let's say it's on the hash. Okay, so you guys can see this spatially. All right, we talked about this in the last video. Okay, so if it's purple right, we're now putting the receivers to the field, the X and the Z. So rule of thumb, most likely he's probably going to be on the top of the numbers, or he might be uh he might be -3 inside the top of the numbers. Okay, because we're condensing, so he'd be cut his split down, so it'd be minusing. All right. And then same thing, we would take him and we would move him somewhere in between, midpointing based on the alignment, based on his assignment, be midpointing between X and the end line of scrimmage. So now this is a problem here, okay? Because we wouldn't want to line him up. I mean, we could line him up on the, closer to the sideline. But it all depends on what he's doing. So as I said in the other video, if we want him to run a speed out, we could put him virtually, we can put him in the numbers. We can put him on the top of the numbers. Oh, excuse me, bottom of the numbers, rather. We put him on the bottom of the numbers to give him the opportunity to run a speed out and not run, out of bounds. So it all depends on what he's trying to do. Obviously, if he's running a slant, we probably split the difference between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline. So it all depends. But you can kind of see that they're tethered, the Y and the F, the X and the Z, the ball's on the right hash. As we talked about in the last video, the field would be the opposite side. The boundary would be the short side. This is the space side. So again, this is the field. We talked about that in the last video. So this is an example of what purple right looks like if the ball is on the right hash. If we were to say purple right, and we wanted to have the ability for us to do the opposite, we would have to take and change the formation. So we would, let's do that right now. We'd say purple left. Okay. Purple left now. I'll just move these guys out of the way. Purple left now puts the balls on the right hash. It now puts the Y and the F to the field. Three yards. 3 yards inside the top of the numbers, roughly. Closer to the Y. And then we'd have the X on, depending upon what he's doing. He might split the difference between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline. And then the Z would midpoint between the X and the end man on the line of scrimmage. And he obviously would be off the ball. So there's purple left with the ball on the right hash. Just flipping it and putting the receivers into the boundary and the tight end and the flanker. It would put the split end, the slot into the boundary. It'd put the tight end and the flanker to the field. Okay. So there's purple right, there's purple left. All right. Next one we got to cover. I'm going to try to get through our base ones. Okay. Since we already have purple up, let's talk flex now. Okay. So purple left, and we say flex, which tells one person to do something slightly different, which is the cool thing about it. Everybody else is pretty much the same. The only person this affects is the tight end. So if you're a tight end and you're in this group and you're listening to this video, we're going to move you and flex you out slightly, anywhere from 3 to 5 yards away from your side tackle. In this case, it would be the left tackle. And you're probably going to be up in a 2-point receiver stance as opposed to being a down tight end in a 3-point stance. So this would be purple left flex, putting the tight end in a 2-point stance, 3 to 5 yards away from the tackle, and then the F to that side out as the flanker, and then the X and the Z would be into the boundary. Okay, so purple left flex. Okay, again, taking the Y and the F, they're tethered, X and Z. All right, moving right along. Okay, let's just take everybody, move them over. Like I would be gone if I did that, but just hold off on him for a second. All right. Oops. All right. Now ball's on the right hash. Excuse me, ball's on the left hash. Ball's on the left hash. So purple, we'll say purple right. Purple right flex. Okay. Which now takes the ball's on the left hash. It flexes him 3 to 5 yards away from his side tackle, in this case, the right tackle. It puts the F off the line. Probably top of the numbers, maybe 2 yards inside the top of the numbers. So we're cutting his split down. We're not expanding it. We're condensing it just a little bit. Okay. So purple right flex, tight end, F, and then we're going to put the X between the top of the numbers. Excuse me. Between the bottom of the numbers, sorry, and the sideline, and then the Z midpointing between the X and the end man line of scrimmage. So there's purple right flex with the ball on the left hash. Okay, so we've covered purple right, purple left, purple right flex, purple left flex. Okay, again, moving along here. So I'm trying to do this as quickly as I possibly can so you guys get something out of it and we're not in here for 2 hours. Okay, next one that we're going to cover is simple one is red. Okay, 2x2 set. All right. This year we have the ability to leave the same personnel out on the field and just move the Y to a receiver. So we don't have to make a lot of personnel changes in this regard. So it makes us give us the ability to play a little bit faster. All right. So if we said red and we said red right. Okay. Again, direction. YF to the direction, XZ away. So ball's in the left hash, red right, YF. The only difference now is the Y goes outside. The F comes inside as a slot. So rule of thumb, again, it could change based on what you need to do, all right, as far as tweaking your split for your aligning for success, all right? So best alignment to do your job. So split the difference between M and line scrimmage and number 1. There you are to midpoint it. Inside the Y, and then we have the X, and we have the Z. That's also going to midpoint between the X and the end man line of scrimmage. Okay, depending upon what he needs to do, they could adjust their alignment accordingly. Obviously, if he's got an outbreaking route, he's going to cut his split down, somewhat so that he can do what he needs to do. All right. Same thing goes for him as well. These guys you have the ability to adjust based on your job. All right. So that's red right. Okay. If it was red left, red left. Now puts the Y and the F into the boundary. All right. Y on, F off, split the difference. And then the X and the Z would be to the field doing the same thing. Okay, so all based on your job. So that's red right, red left. Okay, perfect. So if we did purple right, left, purple flex, purple left flex, purple right flex. All right. Next, we're going to talk yellow. Let's talk yellow right. Okay. Yellow right, guys. So what we're going to do is take our tight end. He's going to be an inline tight end in a 3-point stance. Okay. Yellow right takes the Y and puts him to the direction. What it does now with the 3 receivers, the X, the Z, and the F, is it puts them in a trips formation opposite the Y. Okay. In this instance, we're putting trips into the boundary. Okay. And the tight end, we're putting the tight end by himself to the field. Okay. So, rule of thumb for spacing is, and the X obviously would be on the ball. Okay. So, X on, Z, and the F would be off the ball. Okay. So, normally what we say is between the X and the end minute on the scrimmage, we try to midpoint the Z. Okay. With regard to the F, what we try to do is we try to apex between end man and line of scrimmage and number 2. Okay. So again, but it all is predicated on what your job is. So what your job is, we can adjust these accordingly. But I just gave you the rule of thumb. So that's yellow right. That's the yellow right formation. Okay. All right. So if we said yellow left, here we go. Yellow left. Take our trips, put them to the field, put the tight end into the boundary like we normally would. And now X, Z, and F would be to the field. Okay, ball left hash, boundary, field. Okay. X receiver, Z, kind of split the difference between. Split the difference between the X and the end minute line of scrimmage, and then the F is roughly going to split between here and there. All right, based on the job. So that's yellow right and left. Okay, perfect. Next one, since we're in the yellow family, we're going to talk yellow open. Okay, so we'll go yellow open left. And we're just doing formations in here. So open tells one person to do one thing. So we're going to tell the Y on open that you're going from being an inline tight end to lining up on the left side as a receiver, probably splitting the difference between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline and the boundary. And then we have our 3 receivers, X, Z, and F, that would be to the field. Okay? All right. If we take the ball now and just move these guys quickly out of the way. All right. Highlight this. Put the ball on the right hash. All right, let's go yellow. Yellow open right. Okay, yellow open right. Probably splitting the difference between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline as a true receiver. Okay, and then we have X. Z splitting the difference between number 1 receiver and the end line of scrimmage. Then the F would do splitting the difference between number 2 and the end line of scrimmage. Okay, so this again, this is just rough, based on what needs to happen. Now you're probably like, why are you going to talk about the tailback? Because the tailback is going to be moved based on what his job entails in protection, in the run scheme, whatever. We can move this guy not based on the formation now. We can move him on based on what his job is in the grand scheme of things. And I'm not going to talk about it, but obviously the play that we call would dictate his alignment. And I think, that's pretty self-explanatory there. But there are times where he is going to line up opposite and try to break tendency and do those kind of things that other teams, when they're scouting us, can't get a beat on. And so we're going to play around with that a little bit more than we have in the past. So that's yellow open right. So we've done purple left, purple right, purple flex right, purple flex left. We've done red right. We've done red left. We've done yellow right. We've done yellow left. We've done yellow open right. We've done yellow open left. Okay. So we need to talk about blue. So just want to make sure that in my mind I'm going through everything that I want to cover. So I think we got a pretty good base. And if I miss, I could always come back. But yes, we have all those formations. The next one I want to talk to you about would be blue. So we ran some blue stuff today in practice, and staying consistent with the X and the Z being away from the direction and the Y and the F staying together. What we're saying is blue is going to put the F into the backfield. So if we say blue right flex, all right, it now gives us something like this. So again, blue right, the tight end would be flexed, blue right flex, the tight end would be flexed out. Three to 5 yards from the tackle on the ball, obviously. F would be in the backfield to the same side that the Y is on. Okay, so there's where the F would be. And then X and Z pretty much stay consistent away from the direction. In this instance, the ball's in the right hash, so they would be to the field. Okay, Z roughly splitting the difference between number 1 and the end man on scrimmage. So that would be blue right flex. If we wanted to put these receivers into the boundary, we could say blue left flex. Okay. And then blue left flex, all it does is it's going to take my friends from over here. It's going to move them into the boundary. And it's going to give us something like this. Okay. So it now flexes the tight end to the field, puts the F in the backfield, the same side as the tight end. So blue left flex. And it puts the, like I said, puts the two receivers, X and Z. So the split end and the flanker, the split end and the slot in the boundary. Okay. So that's the blue series of things. Let's see. Next, I want to talk about formation. I'm going to talk gray, which is 5 wide receiver, which is empty. So if we said gray left, we haven't gone over any tight end trips yet, but that's normally our white formation. I'll go over that later. But gray left would put the tight end out. And it would give you something like this. So it's an empty look where we would put the tailback in the slot to the side of the tight end and keep the receivers the same. So that would be gray left. We said gray right. We're taking this group and we're putting them over to the field spatially. And we're creating empty with the three receivers to the field and the tight end and the tailback rather in the slot to the boundary and the Y on the ball outside. So that's gray right and left. So guys, that's pretty much the base formations. You know that we have this. I don't want to confuse anybody. But basically something like that was like our tight end trips. from last year. Yeah. Anyhow, I hope this is helpful, guys. I hope you got something out of it. As I said, if you have questions, let me know. Hopefully, I didn't confuse anybody. Hopefully, the signs at the top were helpful with the formations. Again, going over field boundaries, spacing, alignment, things like that. Using the JUSTPLAY software helps increase your learning curve, as I said when we started this thing. But appreciate everybody. Again, drop questions in the chat. And Coach C, we'll see you next time. Peace.